All right. Welcome to Carl's Collects Comics, and welcome to the first of our creator interviews for this series that we're going to be doing. This is a monthly series where I'm going to be getting into some in-depth conversations on select Friday nights for with different comic creators, and I'm excited this week or this month because we're kicking this off with a person I've gotten to know over the past I don't know, 6-9 months maybe. We've gotten a chance to talk in person and to hang out, and it's been good to get to know him. And I've gotten a chance to also pick up some of his books, and I've got to say I've been very, very impressed with the stories and the storytelling that's going on. And so I'm really looking forward to tonight listening in and getting a chance to ask some questions and just really do Jeofrey tonight. So this is going to be a little bit of a different feel than what our usual shows are, and I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to enjoy it. And so we're going to go ahead and get it started, but I'm going to bring Jeofrey out here in just a minute. A couple of things I want to remind you about going on here at the channel. We do have 3 nights of programming that go on. We've got our Monday Halls live stream that happens on Mondays at 10 p.m. Central. We've got the giveaway show that happens Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Central, and then we have our different Friday features. Now, most of the time, like I've said before, most of the time these are top 10 lists, things like the top 10 Punisher comics to add to your collection, or the top 10 Booster Gold comics to add to your collection, or any of the other number of characters that we've covered at this point. But this is a little bit different because the creator interview series is going to be very much a podcast style time where we get to dig in with certain creators and find out about their projects. And like I've said, Jeofrey has got some really cool ones that I'm looking forward to hearing about. And we can also congratulate him as we get started because Roseville, his latest independent comic series that was done through Kickstarter, is now fully funded. And that's a huge thing for anybody that knows anything about crowdfunding, especially now in 2023, to have a string of successful projects, as many as he's had. That's a big deal. So I'm really excited. I'm really proud of Jeofrey. I'm really looking forward to hearing it. So, hey, welcome to Carl's Collects Comics, to the first of the creator interview series. We're going to be doing these once a month. It's generally going to be on the last Friday of the month, and and now they're not all going to be on the same time. This was a time slot that we chose, but moving forward, we're gonna flex to the creators and to their different schedules and their times. So I'm looking forward to it. Let me go ahead and stop talking. Let me go ahead and bring out Jeofrey. So Jeofrey, welcome to Carl's Collects Comics and to the creator interview series.
Thanks, man. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Well, man, I appreciate you being on. So Jeofrey, backstory: Jeofrey and I had shot an interview a while back, and I kept trying to get it edited, and then ultimately I said, you know what, I like the idea of a live stream type of environment and time. So we scheduled this, and we kicked it off, and I said, Jeofrey's going to be the very first one that we do this with. So I'm excited about this. I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of our audience is not as used to a live stream on Friday nights. Most of the time it's a pre-recorded video, but I love the idea of these being a live evolving thing as we go. So we're going to go and get started for just a minute. Let me just give a shout out to I think he's pretty close to being the #1 fan here, Jeofrey. This is El Green Machine that's popping up in the chat, and he's saying hey to everybody, and he said welcome. He said congratulations on your Kickstarter. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
So El Green is just a really big fan of comic books. A great guy. He tunes into all of our live streams and hangs out with us, and so we're real glad, thankful for him and his support. And to the rest who are watching this live as well, we're glad to have you with us.
For sure.
So, Jeofrey, I wanted to kind of start off by kind of having you give just like an overview of Keyngdom Comics. That's your company. Just kind of give an overview of Keyngdom Comics and where it stands right now. Like I can't, I don't have right in front of me how many projects y'all have successfully funded through Kickstarter, and every issue, I count every issue as a specific project that's been funded, because I know it's been several at this point. But
Right.
then also where you kind of see it going from here.
Okay. Well, it started as far as creating and publishing and like printing my own books and lettering them and learning how to do all that. It started with Awful Thought anthology that I did, and we did 3 of those, but that's gonna get a reboot. I think we'll talk about that in a minute. And so there were those 3, but the third project, I tried to start doing pre-orders myself, and it didn't quite, I wasn't quite ready for that yet. So that one got a little delayed. It just recently got shipped to everybody though, so it was still a successful endeavor. But as far as Kickstarter goes, there were those 2, and then I did a book called Birds of a Feather. We did 3 of those issues all through there. And now Roseville. So this is the 6th one that's successfully funded. So we're real thankful and looking forward to getting this one going. I'm in the process now of fine tuning all of the sizes and the letters, and just it's a lot of the tedious kind of stuff, but necessary though. And I'm getting better at all of that as I go along. So, lettering and all that's real important to me to make sure that I'm honoring what the artists are giving me, and I'm putting out, professionally high grade, high powered stuff,
Yeah, man. And I just want to emphasize something for the viewing audience right now. I've been a part of and have overseen 1 Kickstarter in my lifetime, and that is the most, I think, man, those are some of the most, like those 30 days, because we did a 30-day, and those 30 days were one of the most stressful periods in my life. And I don't compare it up to like family like events and stuff like that. I'm talking in terms of professional. That, I mean, those, because that, like, I don't know if people who have never done one realize, but a Kickstarter, you don't just sit back and the money just appears. Like, you have to
work. Not at all. So you can float by, especially early, you're first setting out, and your family, your friends, your network, the bigger it is, obviously, the more support you'll get. But even if you have like a little small base like I did, chances are you'll have enough people that can kind of chip in and get you where you need to get to pay for your artwork, to pay for all of the expenses that it's going to entail, but beyond that though, then it's real dog eat dog. Then you're just kind of throwing yourself to the wolves, and it's a lot of work, especially building an audience and growing organically.
Yeah.
It's easy to get sucked into digital advertising, and like you'll wind up just paying like people to throw your stuff on with bots and like scamming you and all sorts of crap, man. And so the only real way to do it is just to dig your heels in and just every day like spamming. Basically, it sucks to have to say that, but I mean that's just that's the landscape of all of this now. And the cool thing is though that if you're hungry enough and you got good enough stuff, you can hold your own out there. Like, these projects that I'm doing now, it's great. I'm so thankful that I'm able to pay for them and to get them done for the most part. Very seldom I'll have to put in my own extra money, because it's all real fluid and liquid, because I also clean and press my books, so buy them and resell them. That's how I built my audience place and a network, is from that for a couple of years on Facebook and getting to know the people in the comic community, and then teaching myself how to clean and press them. And now I do that basically, that's like my full-time job. And the creating side of it, writing and all that, I'm trying to transition to doing full-time, but it takes time, and I don't want to kind of You know, and I love cleaning and pressing books and being able to have the opportunity to do those. I just did my first giant size X-Men #1 the other day, and it's just like, wow, man, it's just so cool. I've done like 4 or 5 Hulk 181s at this point, and just a couple years ago, I was getting books pressed by everyone. You know, to myself, I was like, man, it must be so cool to get to like work on like those kind of books for people, and then here I am doing it now. So that's really awesome. But I want to kind of move into, I've always loved to write, you know what I mean, and to tell stories, and getting into Dungeons and Dragons a few years ago really helped me kind of open up my world building and storytelling abilities. It kind of forces you to, when you really want to get into a game like that, and role playing kind of stuff. So and kind of mapping out these giant worlds and immersing people in them, and it's a lot of fun, man. Roseville's going to be Roseville's really cool. I tried to really study and research, you know, good horror comics and horror movies, and what constitutes that, and what horror means, and gothic horror, and different influences from people that you know, like Robert McCammon and Stephen King, and actual horror fiction writers, and then also comic guys. You know, there's too many to name right now. I feel like I'd be singling people out, but there's so many, especially on the indie front. That's really what got me into wanting to do this. And this coin is a really good one, because that got everybody kind of chips in on that. You know, that's just a prime example of the stuff I like to do, you know. And but Roseville is its own little self-contained story, and I compared it when I was doing the promoting for it. I did it like Resident Evil and Silent Hill fans, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, House of a Thousand Corpses. I find that it's helpful to make these parallels, to not really try to compare yourself to something, but to give people an idea, you know what I mean? They can start to get an idea in their head of what you're trying to present and sell to them, you know what I mean? And I very much like that. I like to call it like just like a Southern fried splatter fest. Like it's not, there's a lot of, I want to say that there's some actual character building, and there's some really neat stuff. There's a lot of really cool layers to it that the reader will have to uncover, and at first it's just going to be all at them like, what is going on? And then over time, though, it'll start to become more and more apparent just how much this main guy is, this character that I've created. His name's Alex Brenner. He'll be the main protagonist. He's an environmental engineer, and he's going to go into this town in southern Georgia. And he's going to go into this little town and go work for a couple months, and then he just gets in way over his head. And I don't want to really say much more than that.
Yeah.
So
it's
got. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is Roseville, right?
Roseville. This is the one that just funded. Yeah. And so next, now that this one is funded, and again, let
me bring up a graphic real quick so I can show everybody.
Yeah, sure.
So this is the this cover this is the A cover, right?
This is cover A, right? And
right.
One thing with this that I want to make absolute sure of is when I'm doing my proof copies, just for anybody that's listening that supported the Kickstarter that really likes this cover in particular, if I can't get that border cut right for whatever reason, I'm having issues with the printer, then I'm going to probably drop that border and just kind of slightly touch up everything around it, and it'll look just as nice. But just so anybody that's listening be aware that stuff might have to change slightly, because I want to take full advantage of when I'm with the printer and they send you these proof copies. You can opt for instance, that's unaware, and you can check them all and make sure that everything's the way it needs to be. So in the past, sometimes I'll kind of brush through those, or just briefly look at them and say, yeah, they're good to go. But this time, and for everything subsequently moving forward, I want to make absolute sure that it's perfect. So I really wanted to keep that border. But Aaron Moran, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Aaron is the artist for this project, and I kind of just stumbled across him. I met him through a mutual friend and saw some artwork that he did, and it was just real weird, like in the way I like, you know what I mean? I don't mean that in a derogatory way in the slightest. It's got that kind of, in my opinion, that Martin Simmons kind of Sandman-y kind of just surreal.
That's where that's what it. Yeah,
it's real neat. It's real different. It's not the traditional kind of comic book look. I wanted to go for more of a graphic novel and do something like this. When I met him, he was real humble, and he let me. I actually asked him if I could borrow a piece of his work that I saw for an Awful Thoughts cover. And it's got like this grotesque looking pig man on it, and he let me use it for free. And I was like, oh, great, man. And so we got to talking, and I brought him in for a Birds of a Feather cover. He was going to do like a Dia de los Muertos, like a Bruja type of cover. And he gave me this one, and it didn't really complement what we were looking for at all, but I loved it. I was like, man, that's wicked, but what we're going for Birds of a Feather. So I kept it in my back pocket. He ended up doing a really neat Bruja cover for us, but I kept this one on ice, and I just started looking at it one day, and that's how the story kind of unfolded. So everything that you see on that cover now is pertinent and relevant to that story. Even that chain coming out of that skull, you know what I mean? Like all that
I see that. It's like so gruesome.
It's all symbolism that you'll learn and see if you read the book. So I'm really excited, man. I was gonna say something I learned from some of these really good horror storytellers and stuff is you want to create a feeling of hopelessness and desperation, and really paint your hero into a corner and really give that feeling that there's just it's not looking good, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of what we're going for, just real dark tones. And I want my bad guy to be a bad guy, you know what I mean? There's obviously people always have moral dilemmas and stuff, but I think all too often in modern day storytelling, a lot of people want to make the hero and the villain kind of ambiguous, or like all anti-hero, or all kind of, they want you to kind of side with the villain. And I'm not going for that at all. Like, I really want you to not like the people that are pitted against Alex. So,
so Roseville. So issue number 1 just got funded, right?
Right.
And do you have a kind of, in a perfect world, is there a certain number of issues that you would go for this, or is it something where you have enough to just keep going forever? Like, basically, if you had a publisher say, how many issues are you willing to go with this, what would be your answer for Roseville?
I think I can tell this one in 6 or 7 issues. That's the goal.
Okay.
So I can frame it that way. I do a lot of improvising. I don't really write anything. I kind of I guess it's from my hip hop kind of rapping background, the way I put together like rap songs and stuff from back in the day. Maybe that's kind of how I kind of freestyle these comic books, and I've just kind of, I feel like I have for being able to use good. I think I'm a pretty good descriptive narrative. I'm really good at storytelling, just kind of naturally. So and then I just having to teach myself how to letter was really the main trick, and I'm still learning because I'm limited with what I can do in that regard. But nevertheless, I forgot the point I was making. But improvising these stories. Oh, that's what I was saying. Improvising these stories. I see it in my head where it's gonna go, and then I just kind of, whenever each issue, I'll create a little storyboard with stick figures. I'm a terrible artist, but I'll give that storyboard, those pages, to the artist with nice, thorough, descriptive narratives, kind of painting, framing what I want, what I'm thinking is happening in these panels, and then I'll give them the creative freedom to draw it and depict it however they want. And then based off what they give me, I'll go back and I'll letter it, and I'll kind of start to do some drafting for the lettering and making sure it all kind of fits together, making sure I didn't use this word too much or that word, or start something off this way or that way, etc. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'd say 6 or 7 issues. And something that's different about what I'm trying to do is I'm a huge comic book fan. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love comic books, but I kind of feel like the comic book medium for me is just the most fun, the something the way I'm most passionate. It'd be the easiest but most challenging avenue for me to get these stories to Hollywood. That's where I want to go with these. I'd like to ultimately get a story like Roseville. I'd like to get it. Let's say we get it wrapped up in 6 or 7 issues and it's done. Then yeah, you could pitch it to a publisher easily. Probably would want it at that point. But trying to sell them a half an issue or one book even is very challenging. And and not to say that it's impossible, but you got to get your foot in the door somewhere. Once you do, then it's a lot easier for the people to kind of look at your, want to be willing to look at your stuff and to give you that deal and opportunity. And but yeah, so my goal though would be to get something like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford it, but you'd need like an entertainment lawyer, and then I would pitch my 6 issues or whatever to these streaming platforms or production companies, and then maybe write a screenplay. And that'd be the goal though. I want to see these stories translate into live action. I think that'd just be absolutely awesome.
I mean, that sounds like it could be gruesome with some of the Roseville.
Yeah, man, there's so many streaming platforms now, and they're doing all sorts of gruesome shit nowadays too.
That's true. That's true.
And there's like Shudder is its own streaming platform now, and it just does nothing but horror Netflix. They're getting bigger, but they're getting bigger budgets now. And then there's even smaller. And the more people I meet, the more I'm reaching out and trying to spread my tentacles, the more people I'm coming across that do film and graphics and animations and are just plugged up with the right other kind of people. And so you just kind of rub elbows and try to meet people and network. And it was really fun to look at this previous Kickstarter, this last Kickstarter from Roseville, because a lot of the support that I got or have gotten in the past, especially from Awful Thoughts, didn't really seem to be there, like the Facebook stuff. And I'm not exactly sure why. I have, for various reasons, and that's fine. But a lot of the growth I got, a lot of the support I got, about 3/4 of it all came just organic from the other outlets and from Kickstarter itself. And they break it down and show you like the different categories and stuff without getting too weird on it about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you can look at all that and observe and see all that data, and it's really cool, man. So that lets me know that I'm headed in the right direction in general. So now I just need to kind of, again, just work on one thing at a time, which brings me into the next book. If you're ready to talk about that, we can move on from Roseville and go to the next one.
I was pulling up. So do you mind if I show the Roseville Kickstarter?
No, not at all. We can hold on to that. It's no problem.
Yeah. So I just want to share it for the folks, because I just need to really emphasize and hey, welcome to those who have joined us since we began. This is Creator Interviews. This is a monthly series, a new monthly live stream series that we are doing here on Carl's Collects Comics. And this is all about just going in depth with and having a podcast style interview with one different creator each month. We only do it once a month so we can spend more time with the individual creators and learn more. And this month we're kicking this series off with a friend, Jeofrey Cotton, who is based here in Texas and was gracious enough to come on. He has multiple successful Kickstarters, and I can't emphasize enough how difficult it is just to successfully fund one of them. To successfully be on, this is your sixth successful Kickstarter, and it was funded. Okay, Jeofrey, I'm going to share the numbers. His goal was 2,000. Okay, and they funded it all the way up to here. I'm gonna go down and reveal it for everybody here, because this is just, I don't think people realize how difficult this is. to do, especially now with everybody doing Kickstarters for everything. And then you have major creators doing, you have major creators who are doing Kickstarters, and that's got to be frustrating because they have millions of followers, but they're still doing Kickstarters. So look at here at the bottom. If you see here at the bottom, his goal was $2,000, and he funded it, or it got funded to $3,728. So for those that don't understand, I mean, basically, Jeofrey, you got it funded almost 200% of what you were looking for, which that's
Almost,
crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy
It's
number.
awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it's really cool, man. It's important for anybody that does these that wants to endeavor, that does them, is to try to set your goal for lower than what you think you can get, because it's all or nothing. So if you don't get there, you're not going to get the money, and it's going to make it that much more difficult for you to try to track down the people that were willing to support you.
Right.
And but it's still possible. But so it's always better to try to set that lower. My goal was right around where we got. It peaked at about 4,100. And I was super jacked. I was really, my super big end goal was 5K. I was going to do an art print if I could reach that stretch goal.
Yeah.
Didn't quite do that, but that's all right because we got enough. And again, it's a tricky deal when you're trying to do these, because if you don't have the money up front, it's really going to be really hard to get an artist to give you anything to showcase. So you have to find these guys, and Aaron was gracious enough to give me about half of the book. And, we're really thankful for that. And, but I'll need his expenses will need to come out of that. And then the rest will go towards printing it and shipping it, getting books graded, and just making sure that all that goes smoothly. So now they'll have to, they'll take from everybody's credit card, their deduction, and then they'll take 5%, and then hopefully I'll get something close to what that is. So sometimes people get dropped, or their credit cards get canceled, or again, like with this one, there was some people that people will retract their support from time to time for various reasons. That's okay. It's kind of like window shopping or putting something in your shopping cart on Amazon. Nobody's committed to anything. So it's unfortunate, but you're talking about $400 that can do a lot, but at the same time, 37.28 is nothing to shake a stick at. So my biggest goal though, with this one, again, I learned this one had a really high price point, I think, or it was higher than normal, especially for the digital copy. It was $10. And I had a guy early on tell me I never pay $10 for a digital copy, but I'm really interested in this one. I got to read it, so I'm going to get it. And that made me feel good. It was an accident, actually. I meant to do $5, but then I put my other ones. They're about right. I have a $20 Kickstarter exclusive that people seem to like a lot. But my point is, even though the 88 backers is awesome, I'd really like to about double that on each of these endeavors. And I don't know how that would translate for the money side, if it would be double that, because I need to make my price points a little bit better. And that's how you can kind of pull in more new support and people that don't really know you. But again, it's a constant learning process. You got to figure out what people are willing to pay and contribute based on what you have up on the page. And I think I had a lot of that, but that cover A and cover B, I thought was really cool, man. I had a little video I made, and
let me Jeofrey, let me walk it through. Let me walk people through.
Sure.
Jeofrey, so this is closed now, right?
Yeah, it's all done. So what I'll do is from here, I'll just if anybody's listening that supported it, I will be continuing to update the page, and we're probably about a month away from being able to print it. The Kickstarter funds take about 3 weeks to get there. So I can't really move on anything, even if I wanted to yet, because I don't have the money on myself. But so once that's taken care of, we'll move into printing, and I'll be updating accordingly. So
awesome. Let me walk people through this real quick. So here it's got this, and this is a really, Jeofrey, this is a really well put together Kickstarter campaign. I wanted to make sure to mention that to folks. because again, I've done these before, and and everything you're saying completely strikes a chord. I think, again, for those who aren't familiar with it, um, it's A, it's all or nothing, and B, they tell you at the outset you will always have attrition. That means people enter their credit card information at the beginning, but then it's usually about 30 days later that they are that the money is actually pulled. And man, I remember on the one I ran, we had a lot of attrition on it. We did
Yeah, it's
not collect.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, we did not collect anywhere near what the pledged goal was.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at this. So Alex Brenner, an environmental engineer and father of triplets, ventures to the small town of Roseville, Georgia, for an 8-week job assignment. The moment he arrives in town, Alex gets a feeling that something is very wrong. The locals don't seem to like visitors. His phone can hardly keep a signal, and his eyes are playing all sorts of cool tricks on him. Little does he know, the twisting, treacherous path he now finds himself on has much more to reveal. So very, very spooky. Okay, so walk us through these different. So this is the A cover that we took a
Okay, yeah,
look at.
this is cover A. I wanted to go with kind of an old throwback sort of horror classic tribute, like
Yeah,
a VHS-y kind of old burn book kind of looking thing,
right. Yeah,
Really like
yeah.
that one. Yeah, that's an awesome one. I love it.
And then we've got. So tell me about, because cover B really caught my eye here. I was trying to get it
Cover B is
loaded
wicked, yeah.
earlier.
Cover
This
B
is
is
just,
super goth looking stuff there, man. It's got
yeah.
some neat Easter eggs and stuff in it if you pay attention to it from top to bottom. So, um, and for those, if anybody that like the average person that might stumble across this, that's very devout or really religious and stuff, might not dig this stuff at all, because there are all sorts of like what you would consider, not, they aren't technically, but they could, because they can be other things, but like satanic symbolism and stuff of that
Yeah,
sort.
yeah.
This cult that Alex is going to encounter is very much into that sort of thing. So that's all that is.
Right.
I'm not a devil worshiper or anything, I promise. So we've got, but you've got the great symbolism there, all the little line work and stuff that he did on the circles and the lines connecting behind the ram's skull. It's so
Yeah,
cool. I really like that. And then at the bottom there, underneath the ram, and like kind of disguised as his shadow, if you flip it around, you can see
that's
what looks like
right.
somebody kind of meditating in like a namaste kind of
Yeah,
Buddhist.
I see that now, dude.
Mhm.
And the
Really
other thing,
cool.
I really like the color in this green and purple tones that are utilized are really, really, along with kind of the brownish goldish of the skull, really cool looking.
Mhm. Yeah, it works really
So,
well. I was really impressed with that one.
and then so this is what is this one
And then
here? This is let me see, the
this is the
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter variant. This is a Kickstarter exclusive. I won't be making any more of those after I print however many it is I need to. Probably about 50 copies or something. So this one's really cool. And there's a neat story behind this one too, because I was working with Midjourney AI for a little while before the community, comic and art community, and just people in general, just before it got where it is right now. For those of you that don't know, it's just a huge, like, the community, and the art community is very divisive and very against it in general, is my belief. And then the comic community, I don't think cares as much. But for the art side of it, when I'm, these different groups and communities I'm a part of on social media, they are very much against it. And looks like it's moving full steam ahead and forward. But nevertheless, this was a cover that I had kind of tinkered with and created in Midjourney. It's completely different. So what happened was, I decided, I took it upon myself, after seeing how people were responding to what was happening with AI. I decided to say, you know what, I'm not going to support the AI stuff. I'm not going to be a part of that. I think at some point it'll become more of a mainstream, and just it'll be a part of everyday life or everyday art. Every sector of the world will have AI as a part of it. But right now, especially for my artist friends and everything, they're very against it. So I'm gonna side with them. So I retracted and pulled I had 3 different AI covers. I had one that was designed
Right.
modeled after this one, and then I had 2 more for another project that we'll talk about later. And this one though, so Aaron was nice enough to go in. I told him what was going on and what I wanted to do with the one I had, and he said, "Hey, no problem. I'll redo it." So this is his version of the AI cover that I designed, and his I love way more. His is all hand done by a human being, and it's just really neat. And it's not the basic design is still the same, with the guy with the zombie looking guy with his hair on fire in his hand, and the creatures in the background and the burning building. That was all kind of the same, but he just took it and made it his own. And people seem to like that one a lot. They did pretty well. So I was excited to be able to offer that third option. And yeah, man, that's what
Very
that
cool.
is. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's take a look at some of the interior art, and Jeofrey, in a little bit, we're going to share with folks how they can, because this is a closed Kickstarter campaign. We're going to go ahead and share with people how they can connect so they can keep up with your future projects, and also how they can be like still purchase and try to get some of these great books. So
Awesome.
we'll come to that in a second here, because El Green was asking about it, and I'm sure there's others. So this is an interior. I'm trying to remember which page was this, Jeofrey?
This is going to go from 1. It goes from 1 to 6 on these.
Okay. So this is this Alex here
No, this is going to be, I'm just going to take you right into the thick of things with this part of it. And so the first 6 pages of the story are going to kind of show you some of the evil side of what's going on in Roseville.
This is a really interesting art style. It's kind of like photoreal, but it still has like a grit to it.
Yeah, it's out there, man. I love it, and I think it's going to work really well for the story I'm trying to tell.
Okay.
So yeah, I used some shit. So this girl here is her name's Erin Avery, and she is hooked up with this guy like on an online dating app. She's gonna lure him like a spider into the web. And that's basically what's happening here. That's why you see the sexual kind of stuff with the cleavage and all of that. She's taking advantage of his his weakness there. More of that here. She gets him inside and gets him situated.
So we're seeing like what is reality, and then this is like
no, they go into the house. They enter the house, and the foyer there is just in disrepair. It's all broken and beaten. She tells them that they're renovating the house just to kind of forgive the mess, and then immediately takes him into this next room here. And I got all the context and the speech bubbles and the boxes to make all that clear. So she takes him into this warm and cozy room and kind of gets him comfortable. Says, "I'll be right back." And no sooner than that, he hears some footsteps behind him and turns around, and there are these masked individuals.
Yes,
and, kind of taunting him.
These baby doll faces are
those are
so creepy. Like
this is great.
That's just freaky. The eyes.
One of my favorite thing I like on that picture, I think, out of all, it's strange, but the hands on the baby face on the right side, the palms, and all of the lines in the palms, and how you said they have kind of like some of his stuff has like this photorealistic look. And I asked myself, like, well, did he draw that, or like I don't understand like how he created that. It's so interesting, so cool. So yeah, they approach this guy, and he can't escape. He's helpless. He's afraid. They escort him down this winding staircase inside of the mansion. And when he gets downstairs, freaked out, he's in this like dark, this evil looking, this church like place, this satanic temple. It's all sorts of pentagrams and symbolism and burning candles and torches and all of these robed individuals, like cult members, and you've got a little small hierarchy there with the other characters that greet him with their different masks. And then so this guy with the ram mask, he's the head honcho. You'll learn, Yeah, he's like a high priest, and so he basically tells them to open the gate, and so his cult guys open the gate, and they send this dude on his way into this labyrinthian maze that's been constructed underneath the mansion. And so those chains inside of that skull, like on the cover of cover A, those will retract up into there, and they'll lift up and pull this gate open for this maze. And they hold him at gunpoint, and they give him a torch and say, "Get to stepping." That's what you see on the next page there. They tell him to move it. And the artwork here on the maze, it's we kind of had to improvise because there's actually a cover on that maze. There's a big, just like it's all concrete and everything, and very claustrophobic, as you can see in the following and the latter pages. You can tell if you just look a little closer, you can see where there's meant to be a wall, a ceiling there on all that stuff. We just wanted you to kind of be able to look in there and see and kind of get like a meta, little meta, kind of get a feel for what he's up against, even though he doesn't know.
Yeah. Wow. And then so
he kind of gets into this maze. He's like, what in the hell is going on, man? It smells like shit down here. And he starts to kind of, as he ventures through this maze, he eventually stumbles across some corpses, and then he bends the corner and enters this room. There's a big old hole in the ceiling, and it looks like maybe bodies have been dumped down in there. There's just this pile of corpses, and then there are these cannibalistic human creature looking things that are feeding on the bodies. And it's pretty grotesque, and it's awful. So it's about as wicked as a scene as I could think of in my mind. And Aaron did a pretty good job at depicting it there, as you can see.
Yeah, this is just
pretty gnarly.
Yeah. This is out there.
Yeah.
So okay, so that is the first 6 pages of Roseville, everybody.
Yep.
That Jeofrey shared with us. And so just really, really gruesome, and just so it just sucks you right in. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. But this is not Jeofrey's only horror comic. So we're going to move into talking about his next one, which is
which is his first one.
Yeah, which is the first one. I'm going to go ahead and share. Let's see. Okay, so Jeofrey, I'm going to walk through the covers that I had 4 covers pulled up from Awful Thoughts. Sure. So for those who tune in, real quick, to Monday Halls Live, our weekly web series where we go over the past week to week and a half's worth of comic book pickups. Several months ago, Jeofrey and I met in person, and I got some autographed copy. I bought some autographed copies of Awful Thoughts for him after the Kickstarter had already concluded. So I know there's a couple of you that are regular viewers here are probably wondering, hey, where can we get these books? We're going to share that with you towards the end of this episode. But I will tell you, I'm sure there's always going to be ones that they can purchase, that people can purchase directly from Jeofrey and on his website.
Yeah.
But I picked these up, and it was just super cool. So I had to buy like a full set of them because they had great covers. And then I read it, and I was really impressed with it. And it's called Awful Thoughts, and this is the cover A right here. But I just wanted to preface this by saying that I was a big fan of those scary stories to tell in the dark. And I know, I've compared it to this before, but yeah, it's like an anthology series it's an anthology series from when we were growing up. But the cool thing about this one is that it's an anthology series with bookends, and each of the stories was so fun and so scary and so creepy and gruesome. But yeah, I really enjoyed issue number 1. I haven't had a chance to pick up the next couple, but let's look at it. So Jeofrey, tell us a little bit about this, the cover A for Awful Thoughts.
This was the original that started it all. So Trey Antley, buddy of mine, he is him, and then Tom Cuthbert is the guy that they both did the interiors, and then trade all of these original covers. He's real skilled, man. He does. I'm pretty sure he's still doing some exclusives for some other comic retailers and stuff like that. And they're both tattoo artists. I think they're based out of Alabama. And this was their first project and endeavor too in the comic realm. So we all kind of set sail together and started it. And then this is what started it all. And I kind of just wanted to do something weird with the title. And Trey gave me this really neat idea for this character here, and we kind of built it around that. And it was very much an experiment when I was writing it, though. I wanted to do something different from just like Tales from the Crypt or scary stories to tell in the dark, or like a traditional anthology where you kind of just get a series of a collection of short stories. I wanted to do something that kind of had, like you said, a book-ending narrative. And it worked all right, but it's at a place now after we've done 3 of these now. And it's at a place now where I think I just kind of don't like that idea anymore. It was something that I just kind of dove headfirst into. So what I want to do now, and what's going to happen next after Roseville for the next Kickstarter, is we're going to take all 3 of these issues and trim all the fat off of them, get just Tom's artwork inside, and go with 6 of the really the coolest and weirdest stories that I think are fitting of it, and throw those into a one shot. And we're going to drop the main narrative. We're going to add some new covers. We're going to do some t-shirts. We're going to basically rebirth it and present it in a brand new, shiny way to all of the new people that are coming in. Hopefully all the people that supported Roseville will learn now about Awful Thoughts, and we'll make a whole new fandom out of everybody. And everybody that's supported it thus far, hopefully they'll turn up, show up and they'll still continue to support the project as well. I know that people hate to kind of, I hate to have to reboot it or makes it, I don't mean to feel like I don't want to lessen anything that we've done, but those that are here with me now, they know that this is very much a learning process, and there's a learning curve, and I've got to continue to refine and experiment and grow. And that means that some of this stuff's not going to make it past the cutting room floor, or some of this stuff will get printed and just we'll never hear from it again. It'll fade into obscurity. But my goal is to really make some stuff now moving forward that it's going to be something that'll stick, that I can really feel confident and happy and passionate about, and again, I that's the case for everything I've done, but it's not quite where I had hoped it would be for, you know what I mean? For some of these projects. And so they'll need to just kind of fade out or get kind of reborn, like what's happening with Awful Thoughts. And I'm really excited about it, though. I've got this badass video that I've put together, and it's actually going to be a video inside of a video if we can pull it off.
Nice.
So yeah, it'll kind of start like you're watching an old VHS tape, and it'll show you artwork and have like this real dramatic music and real glitchy. As good as I could do it, and you'll kind of get little fragments of the art in between all that for about 30 seconds. And then it'll start to kind of pull out of the TV screen. It'll show you in the other outside that you're watching on a TV screen. And then you'll as it gets towards the end of the video, you'll see that you're actually inside of cover A. And cover A is really neat. It's like this storage shed that's got a bunch of Easter eggs from all of the stories inside of it. Yeah, so if you've already read all of them, then you can go back and instantly look at the cover and be like, oh, I know what that's from. Or there'll be other stuff, like even me, like there were a couple that Tom threw in there that I didn't catch right off the bat, and I was like, oh, that's badass, there it is, I remember. And I mean, like I told him to do this stuff, and I'm still like just like a kid looking at it like, oh, it's so cool. And so I think people will really like that. And especially the newcomers, they'll see the book and be like, what the hell is this? And they'll see all this weird amalgamation of stuff in this storage unit. And then when you go back and read the stories, and then you can go back and look at the cover and be like, oh, cool, that's what that's from. That's the goal, at least. You know what I mean? And then there's another cover that he's working on for the project. It's kind of like a throwback to the EC comics and all the Tales from the Crypt and stuff. It's real gnarly too. And I think he'll be done with that one soon. So, but yeah, this one is gonna go into a pre-launch here in about 3 weeks. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew what was happening that had pre-ordered number 3, and didn't want them to think they were getting left behind or that I was giving up on that. I wanted to see that through first and honor that, and then let everybody know what's happening. And I did that, and now I can move forward with this one. So again, I'm really excited. I'm going to re-letter it all, and it's got the art from just one guy inside of it, and the new covers, and just new swag. I've never done merchandise before, but I've got some. I think I've got some good opportunities to do that for a relatively good deal, and to translate the savings on to people that want to support the project. So, and yeah, again, I'm going to keep refining it and hopefully find some good price points for everybody. And once everybody sees it, hopefully they'll like it and want to get on board. So.
Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward. Let me show the folks these others. So do you have any of these original number 1s left, like the cover A's?
Man, maybe like 1 or 2. So I'm just going to hold on to them, and maybe for special occasions or something, I'll throw them out. What I do have coming back I did my original signing when I think I met you, or close to, was at the Comic Vault. And I sent off, me and Matt, the owner of the Comic Vault, we sent off a bunch of them. We signed a bunch of them. And then people that supported the project, they're still out there being graded. It's been almost
CGC right there.
No, so these are CBCS actually. But
okay.
I got them yellow labeled, and then I got some other ones. So those will be cool. I'll be able to do those for really cheap and really good, fair deal. If anybody wants to have one, just these are like the progenitor books that paved the
way
for what's about to come. You know what I mean? So
the people let me show these real quick. So this is cover. This is cover A right here, right? Mm-hmm. And then this one was a really cool one that I thought was super creepy. I have this one. This was the homage cover to the old EC horror. This is just
Trey knocked that one out the park, man.
I know, it's so terrible to look at. It's like the eyeball coming out of the mouth, and it's just so creepy. So this was an homage cover, an EC Comics homage cover. And then this one was also another really cool. I mean, you had some really cool ones.
Yeah, there was a nice lineup, man. He made it. He made it really easy for me to sell the books. He put out.
And then here's the hip hop variant. It even had a hip hop variant.
I really liked that one.
Yeah. So I got these 3, I think, and then I've got one more. I was looking for them earlier, but the comic loft up here is a mess. But yeah, those were super cool. But man, I'm excited to hear that you're going to do a one shot, and then look at kind of reforming it, just doing something different with it, because that's neat. There was some good material in there, some good stories.
Yeah, there's a lot. Now that we've got that many with just one guy, with just Tom, and he's been with me from the start, I kind of want to just have that 2-man team. You know what I mean? I want to put it all together into one little wacky, self-contained deal, and all the stories are weird. Some of them are very disturbing, in my opinion. I have a very strange imagination. I just kind of get stuff and run with it. And that's all from like Dean Koontz and Stephen King and those guys. So I blame them for that. But nevertheless, though, man, it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope everybody gets on board. And that way I'll have 2 flagship horror titles. And then for these conventions and these shows and just maintaining visibility and growing my brand, I'll have those 2 big titles to work with. And if Awful Thoughts is well received, we'll move on to a second volume, just the same kind of deal. And Roseville will continue to move forward as long as the funding and the interest is there. And then we'll going into the summertime, I'll do my first sci-fi / kind of sci-fi horror kind of comic book called End of Man.
Nice. Okay, we're going to get to that in just a second.
Yeah, sure.
I'm typing a message for the chat here. So for those who are interested or who do have questions, if you have questions that we haven't answered yet, obviously we are going to share about how you can get a hold of some of these comic books. We're going to guide you to that. But if you have specific questions for Jeofrey about indie comics his comics or the creative process, you can drop those questions in the chat. And at about the 65 to 70-minute mark, we're going to go ahead and start answering those questions. So if you got
Cool.
any of those, make sure and drop those in there. Um, let's see, make sure to drop in the chat. All right. So these two are we've gone over Roseville and Awful Thoughts, but I want to go ahead and bring up I've got Joffrey's website pulled up here, so I'm going to switch over to this one and we're going to take a look at this here. All right, so this is the cover to End of Man #1. End of Man.
End of Man, yeah.
Yeah. And so, Joffrey, why don't you tell us a little bit about just kind of this one here?
Okay, so this one is a lot of fun. It takes place in North Texas, like in the hill country. And it's about a college student that's an aspiring astronomer. She's trying to follow in the footsteps of her father. Her and her father are stargazing one night and witness the meteorite. It crashes into the hill country, into the woods that it's not too far away from them. And so she goes to inspect it and has her life radically changed by it. For better, for worse. And for this one, I compare it. I tell people, again, like those parallels we were mentioning earlier, I would compare this one. This is kind of my take on a variety of stories like Spawn or Venom, the Guyver from anime, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Green Lantern. It's got elements of all of that type of stuff where she's going to encounter this type of weapon-like entity, species, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to give away too much, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll mostly be like sci-fi kind of X-Files kind of a deal where she's basically on the run for the whole story. In a way, kind of like Roseville, because he's going to be running for his life a lot of it too. But she will have a little more power, and she'll have a little, and she will learn more and be, grow in different ways than the other character from the other story will. So, but yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's going to be my take on the sci-fi. And the horror elements, though, it'll have some kind of dark tones and settings like scenes. But the only real horror stuff will be like there's going to be some cool body horror because she can do like Spawn and Venom and Mr. Fantastic, Kamala Khan type of stuff with her body as it kind of can change and repair itself on a cellular level, like nanites and stuff. It's going to be really cool. So I'm excited for that one as well.
That is very cool. And so I see it has been delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
So is this one still on track to come out next month or to
No,
be available?
So with that one, I just touched base with everybody that pre-ordered it. That was another book that last September I endeavored to kind of do pre-orders by myself. And I didn't kickstart it. And then I did a Kickstarter to try to get more funding, but the interest wasn't really there. It funded, but it was a real low goal. So this thing has kind of been through some pre-ordering processes. But the reason it's been delayed is twofold. One, the AI cover deal that I talked about earlier with Roseville. This is the book that had the other two AI covers. They were really neat. But again, I just don't feel comfortable using AI. Right. So I scrapped the one. It's a metal cover. It's really cool. People paid. It's a blacklight metal cover and is individually numbered. There were only 50. Yeah, there are only 50 of them, and people were paying. I think I sold they averaged about $30 to $40 a piece, depending on the type of bundle that you bought with the other covers. So people were really looking forward to those, but I have to scrap it. But again, my buddy Tom that does Awful Thoughts with me was gracious enough to redo my second AI cover, which is like an Earth skull. It's really badass. It's got like this like a human skull, and then in the head and the cranial part is like the Earth. You know what I mean? From outer space.
Wow.
And it's really fun. And it's going to be the Virgin variant for that will be the new metal cover, and then I'm going to do a trade dress and a standard Virgin variant. So we're just swapping out the covers on that. And then also the other most importantly was that it was black and white. We were going to try to kind of try to save money and do a black and white book, like Birds of a Feather. But when I looked at it a little closer and started thinking about the scope of it, and if I wanted to move forward with the project, I decided that it needed to have full color. And
Yeah.
it's a little more expensive, and it's taking a whole hell of a lot longer than I had hoped it would. But it's okay because we're moving forward. But the guy that's doing my coloring, I can't remember his last name. His name's Brian. Him and Mariano is the artist. They're both Filipino guys, and they live over there. And so their schedules are different on the time schedules, and then they have a lot of other projects and stuff they're doing too. They're real busy. So, but Brian is slowly but surely getting me I'm doing one page of color at a time, and we're up to 8 pages. And so in about 2 months, I think we'll have, once Awful Thoughts is finished on Kickstarter, we'll be ready to launch this for like a little quick one, maybe like 30 or 40 days. And at that point, it'll be ready to print. So I'm going to need I think this one's probably going to take about another, maybe 3 or 4 more months to get to be out in people's hands.
Man, so I'm really looking forward to it. It sounds super cool. And yeah, I can't wait to see it. So End of Man is very much kind of like, I saw here that you also compared it to Power Rangers and Radiant Black.
Yeah, Radiant Black's another one, Kyle Higgins stuff.
Yeah. It's really, really neat stuff going on here. I am okay. So tell me again about the metal cover thing. Is that's still happening? Are those already all sold, or?
There are actually a few left. I'm kind of holding on to them because I didn't know how many I pre-sold. Because again, I had to touch base with my Kickstarter people, and then also people from the Keyngdom Comics website, and then people that I personally reached out to from Facebook. And but yeah, I think there's going to be maybe 10 or 15 left available that I might wind up putting on the Kickstarter, or I might just hold on to and keep for conventions and special occasions. People like yourself that might, that would really like one. That way I'll have some, because I don't want to print any more of them. I want to make that very special for the people that gave me their money back in October. Because it's been a while. This one's running about 2 months behind schedule, and it's going to be again another 2 or 3 months. So, but everybody's been really patient, and I'm really thankful for that. And I think what I'm able to give them now is even cooler though. The Earth Skull variant is really badass. Like Tom outdid himself, in my opinion. It's really neat.
And I want to see some of the. I missed out on the End of Man. Somehow I missed out on it, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Hey, real quick, just a note for those in the chat who've been dropping questions. We're going to start that in about 15 seconds here. Sure. So thank y'all for doing that, for drop. I see plenty of really good questions in here. We're
awesome. I can't really see any of it, but I'm excited to see it and answer any questions anybody has. And
that's okay. They've got some good ones for you. So what we're going to do, Jeofrey, we're going to kind of do those as like a speed round type thing.
Sure.
We're gonna try to get through them and just kind of go from one to the other. Okay. And for those who are wondering, who have questions, by all means, drop those in the chat, and we're going to get those going. But again, this is Jeofrey Cotton, and he's the creative force behind multiple successfully Kickstarter funded independent comic books. It's a huge achievement. It's a huge achievement to do that, but Jeofrey's done it not just once or twice or 3 times. He's done it 6 times, 6 successful ones. His current comic, a horror comic that just looks gruesome, called Roseville, just got successfully funded for almost 200% over its initial goal. And so that's impressive. That's a big deal. I'm going to scroll through these real quick as
Sure.
just to let people that are joining us see it right before we go ahead and get started on that. Let me see. Did this thing come up?
It's
No,
fun
it
doing
didn't.
it late night, man. I'm usually like, I have a really weird sleeping schedule because I'm just like on comic book because right now is life. You know what I mean? And then with pressing comic
Right.
books, I have a rhythm on those, and so man, it's cool to be up right now and talking to everybody and have this opportunity. I really appreciate it,
Very
man.
cool. Well, we're enjoying having you on here. So hey, y'all check this out real quick. This is the Kickstarter. This is closed, but we are going to share with you at the end of the episode how you can get a hold of some of these books. This is Roseville #1. This is the A cover, and this is this really cool B cover right here. And then we've got this Kickstarter exclusive zombie fireman cover going on. He just looks like he's having the worst day
Yeah,
ever.
he's not happy.
And then here's some of the interior art. Very creepy vibe going with this like kind of photo real mix and matched with like with this just kind of art style. So it's just really cool. This right here is going to give me nightmares tonight. Right here, these guys.
Yeah, we're
They
excited
are.
for y'all to meet all of them. So
Yeah, that
yeah,
just looks horrifying
yeah, I'm cool.
right
They're
there.
gonna be fun.
So we're going to come to that, or we're going to let you guys know how you can get a hold of that in a second. But hey, let's go ahead and we're going
Q&A.
to share. Yeah, let's do the Q&A. So Joffrey, first question up. This comes from Mr. Collector 123. Mr. Collectors are one of our regular Wednesday panelists for the
Awesome.
giveaway show,
Nice
and he
to meet you.
says, "What are some artists / writers you would like to collaborate with?"
Oh man, what a great question. I've thought about that actually because some of those guys get pricey, like John Jang
Uh-huh.
and my buddy Charlie from Lost Boy Comics. He's a big fan of Ivan Tao. I've looked at a lot of his stuff lately. Really talented.
Mhm.
Man, there's just so many. Joseph Schmalke, I think is how you say his name.
Mhm.
Those guys over at Black Caravan and this
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Scout imprint, and they do some really cool stuff. It'd be fun to work with, and man, there's just so many. I really like. Again, I mentioned the silver coin earlier. If some I might have heard or not, but the working like having the opportunity to collaborate with people like in a little quick bursts like that would be really neat to do a story with Cullen Bunn he's the guy. He's one of
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's a horror guy that I really like. And then Jay Maxwell Prince, I think is that how you say his name? He did Ice Cream Man and Ha Ha. And
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine myself working with somebody like a Donnie Cates or a Tom Taylor or a Chip Zdarsky. So that just for me is, I think that basically goes without saying that would be a dream come true, but
Oh yeah.
for myself though, I'd be trying to remain a little more grounded. Yeah, there's some really awesome independent guys that I would love and have the honor to work with.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Next question comes from L Green Machine. He says, "Who is your favorite superhero?"
I'm gonna say Spider-Man.
Hmm.
He's always been my go-to. My dad grew up as a Batman fan and a big DC fan, and so he put me on Batman, and I got into Batman with the animated series when I was 10 or 11 years old in 5th or 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
That cartoon just really changed my life for what I thought about Batman. And then also The Dark Knight Returns. My dad put me on that with Frank Miller, and that's
Oh yeah, yeah,
wow, this Batman. There's something to this Batman guy, beyond just the movies, the Michael Keaton movie, and all that.
yeah.
But yes, Spawn was a huge influence on my life and my writing and the way I'd like to think about stories. And that's just what a great character that McFarlane created, and the artwork for that. Like Mr. Comic 123. Is that how you say his name?
Mr. Collector 123.
Mr.
Yeah.
Collector 123. Yeah, he was Martin Simmons is somebody I would like to work with, but like
Oh.
Todd McFarlane has a knack for finding those really badass like artists. Like some of those old low print Spawn books are just insane to look at. Like they're just works of art. You know what I mean? I don't even care about the story. You could just open it up and look at the artwork and be like, God dang, this is really nice stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know where he finds those guys. He's like a scout, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
man, yeah, to have that opportunity at some point to be able to have enough muscle and flexibility to be able to, and money financially to be able to reach out to people like that would be a dream come true. Because there's just so many artists now that I've learned how to create and spread my network out and met a lot of artists. Like there's just such a huge variety of them out there, man. So much talent.
So okay, so El Green also asks.
Oh yeah, my bad. Spider-Man though. Yeah, my dad put me on Batman, but I grew up like a McFarlane and Eric Larson and Venom and Spider-Man and Peter Parker to me, you know, he's just so much more relatable than Bruce Wayne in my opinion. Yeah. And so, you know, and he's just fun. He'll beat you up and talk shit while he does it. I love that. You know what I mean? They've done that a couple of times really good in the movies, but haven't really like done it in the way I'd like to see them. You know, just he's always kind of real jerky, you know, like not quite as bad as Deadpool, but Peter Parker would let you know, like he would taunt you. And I kind of liked that, you know, as his way of getting back at you without killing you or doing anything super violent.
Yeah. So, and El Green also asks, and what was your first comic?
Oh, speaking of which, Amazing Spider-Man number 347, I think it was. It's Venom Island, where he's holding the skull of Peter Parker.
Oh yeah.
Alas, poor Spider-Man, we killed him well. When I saw it, I must have been 10 years old or so, just digging through back bins at a shop, and I saw that one and pulled out like, whoa, that's gnarly. Dad, can I have that? It's got like all the green poison dripping out of his and jagged mouth. Like, it's so cool. And yeah, I think that was my first book. There could have been some other ones, like a Ghost Rider. There was those early books that Danny Ketch run with Hobgoblin and Peter Parker crossing over. There's a purple cover. I think that could have been one of my first ones.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff in that time period there when McFarlane first kind of was coming out and pushing his Spider-Man series real hard right before Image got going. That's kind of when I was into comic books.
Okay, so Mr. Collector then comes back and asks, since you're a horror sci-fi fan, what are some movies that inspire you?
Oh man, there's so many. To be honest, I love really weird stuff. There's been, like, just to name a few weird ones off the top of my head, Slither, Tusk, The Human Centipede, Body Horde. The Fly is a really big one of mine. I absolutely love that Jeff Goldblum movie. It's just so weird and so cool and so different than anything else. Event Horizon was a really cool one. All the splatter stuff, you know, Jason and Freddy with the nightmares, and Michael Myers, of course. Rob Zombie, he gets a lot of criticism. I think he's a really good storyteller, and I like the kind of the grittiness the way he directs and his cinematography and stuff. I really like. I drew a lot of inspiration from House of a Thousand Corpses for Roseville. And yeah, I mean, I could just go on and on. Me and my mom have gotten into trying to do like a horror movie once a week now, and
cool.
That's been a lot of fun. We just watched the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Oh my gosh,
it was pretty good. It was pretty out there. You know, again, it's got kind of these little parallels and little bits and bobs from what I took for Roseville. So. Yeah, man, horror is just great. Oh, my hands down runaway favorite though is Pinhead. The Cenobites are just
okay. Hellraiser, right?
Parker and Hellraiser. Yeah, that's next level shit right there, man. It's out there.
Okay. I think Brandon Metro is. I'm not sure if he was asking you or
Terminator 2. Yeah, for sure, man. I love Terminators and Skynet, and the closer we get to this singularity and the way AI is trending right now, man, I'm Skynet making me think about it.
I know.
Just but yeah, I love Terminator, man. It's great.
So Bad Star asks, from concept to print, as the dialogue narration develops, is it back and forth with the artist, or is the artwork done initially? What is the actual process?
Oh man, what a great question. So For me, it's probably really different. I don't know if you were here or not, Bad Star earlier, but I was kind of touched on this. I freestyle a lot of it. I kind of get an idea for a story in my head. And then when it's time to do it, I will storyboard 24 pages. I'll just kind of sit down and get it done as much. I can usually knock it out in, a few hours if I'm really hustling and motivated. Sometimes I'll kind of do 6 and then come back to it. But nevertheless, I myself will storyboard what I'm looking at. I'll do the panels, and then I will go in and kind of describe what I'm seeing. So it's hard for me to kind of call myself a writer, more so than like, I want to kind of make these like movies or TV shows. So when I'm writing them, I'm looking at them more like a movie, you know what I mean? And so that hopefully that will translate whenever people read the comics, not just this one, but others in the future. But yeah, so what I'll do is I'll storyboard it. I'll give it to the artist, and then the artist will give it back to me. And sometimes there's some minor deviations, so I will need to be flexible and improvise. But at that point, once I have the art from the artist, I will go in and I'll run it through Photoshop, or there's plenty of other programs you can use. But then I'll start to letter it, and at that point I will kind of have these ideas, and I will kind of look at the art and see what's happening, and I will just kind of start to fill in like pieces of a puzzle. And it's very much improvised and freestyled. I would not be surprised if like nobody else does it that way. I'm sure there's a much more structured way to do that, or a lot of people would kind of be like, oh, blasphemy, you know what I mean? But I'm sure that a lot of people more traditionally probably write out a script. I just that's probably what they do, and then they give that to the artist if they storyboard or not. Because then other creative teams have a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like you might have a penciler, an inker, a colorist, 2 or 3 writers, an editor, a letterer, you know what I mean? Right. For this stuff, it's just me and the artist, or as much as I can keep it that way, I'd like to, because I like having that much creative control over these projects right now. And so yeah, there's a lot I put on my plate that other people could alleviate. But yeah, that's my process. Hopefully that answers your question. I very much wing it though, man. It's like knowing you're really smart in history class, and just like sleeping all week, and then whenever it's time to take the test, you kind of just wake up and study for a couple hours or do your homework and get it, at the last minute. That's how I make comic books. It sounds terrible because it's like, but trust me, it works. It winds up working itself out.
That's your process.
It's been put together in here for a lot longer than it takes for me to put that onto the paper. So I'm not trying to sell it short or make it sound like I slap them together. It's far from that. It takes time to go in there and letter, and oftentimes I will have to go back dozens of times and I'll scrap the file and have to re-letter something or change it, or it won't sound right when I'll read these things hundreds of times probably before it's said and done, and there still might be stuff that I feel like I could have done better. That's just part of the creative process. You get better as you go, and eventually that stuff becomes easier and easier. And the same goes for writing and drawing or doing anything else, man. Just practice makes perfect. And, that's where I'm hoping to get soon, where I can make these things just kind of flowing,
Right. Very cool. Okay. So Bad Star also asks, is End of Man in the future or present day?
It'll be present day.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I can't use for licensing rights or for whatever the case. We kind of briefly looked into trying to actually use the University of North Texas as our like background, but I think there's bad juju for that. I don't think I'd be able to do that. So it's basically UNT, but not. We'll call it something else. And then there's an observatory center that she goes to. I'm not sure how much she will, but there's these cool little lanyards that we made that we'll be giving away with the Kickstarter, and they have her ID badge on them. You can see her face, and then it's got this cool little mock-up ID badge, and she'll wear that in the comic book and use that to access the observatory center. And there's actually a really nice one out there in Denton, Texas, and I forget what it's called, but it's relatively new and kind of modernized, and I kind of wanted to make this one. I call this one like it's NTALC, North Texas Observatory Center. That sounded kind of cool and kind of sci-fi-ish. So that'll be kind of one of the centerpieces. But yeah, it's very much in like a fictional present day North Texas setting. You know what I mean?
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I think that's about the end of the question. We've got a couple of we'll say hi to a couple of people real quick that have come in. Hello to, let's see, let me get back. Wow, there's a lot of, all right. Hello to Jonathan Dotson. Good to have you with us. There, my wife
Jonathan
popped up in there to say congratulations and thank you so much for being here, Jeofrey.
Thank you.
Count Facula popped in to say, "Hey Jeofrey, what's up?" Or Jeofrey, what's up? Jonathan Dotson's here.
What's up, man?
Okay, El Green, we're just about to tell y'all how y'all can get copies of these books. Then there's Bad Star, Mr. Collector. Let's see, Brandon Metro. Thanks for being here. He dropped
Appreciate
in.
all you guys showing up and asking your questions and showing up to show your support and everything. It means a lot. It really does. So,
Spider Girl, good to see you here. Glad that you could join us tonight. And let's see, Mr. Collector is commenting that Slither was definitely a bonkers movie.
That movie was crazy.
Tusk also. Jeofrey, I've just got to be honest with you, man. Tusk I found terrifying.
I had trouble watching certain parts of it, and some people, they don't get as to them it doesn't really shock like that, but to me, like I love it. It's just so weird and just out there. Like it really creeps me out to think that like somebody could do that to somebody, and then like the way it was just suffering and just absolutely miserable, and it was just so mortifying. And there were parts that were like, God, I can't watch much more of that.
Yeah, it was really, I mean, performances were great, but it was just like, I was like, wow, that's really
I think they talked about maybe doing a sequel for it somehow. It's actually, I think it's based on a comic book, and Kevin Smith, I think, had something to do with the production or the directing of that movie.
No, it was a Kevin Smith movie, I think, and then because he had shifted into just kind of self-producing and self-distributing his own films.
Gotcha.
But yeah, horrifying tale.
Yeah, that one's out there, man.
Let's see, Bad Star, thanks for being here as well. Okay, Bad Star wants to know, can I still get an End of Man lanyard?
Yeah, sure. Hang on one second. I'm going to show it to you real quick.
Oh, nice. You need to show off the metal covers if you have them.
Yeah, I don't have them yet. I did a mock-up for the AI one, and it came out really cool. I don't know what I did with it. I set it aside. There's just an art print, but yeah, this is the lanyard, and I do still have some. They'll come with, if you buy a copy on Kickstarter, and the copies will just be $10 for the regular ones. They'll come with this one. It's hard to kind of see, I think maybe from the glare, but yeah, you can see Patty. Her name's Patricia Bays. Her name's Patty. And then you can see like the logo I made and created for a mock-up, like her student access card. It's got all that cool stuff on it. And on the back, it's got me and my buddy David Gallimore. He helped me create this story and idea. And he is also the creative mind behind the Birds of a Feather story that we put together.
Oh, yeah.
And we did funding and interest just kind of wasn't there. And we were spending more money than it was kind of worth, really. So he was happy with where it was at, and we would have loved to have continued to move forward with it, but it's just better to just kind of leave it there. So, but yeah, he helped me create this idea, so he deserves credit for that. And we've got him on the back here, so it's really neat, man. I've got him for sure. And if you get with me, who asked for this?
Bad Star.
That's all right. Yeah, if you holler at me after later on or whatever, get my info. And even if you don't get a copy of the book for whatever reason, that's fine. I'll still hook you up with one of these. I've got about 40 of them. So what I think I'm going to do is when the Kickstarter launches, I'll probably say like, or I know I just mentioned if you buy a copy, but what I might do is be like the first 25 backers get one, but you'll need to, I think people will need to get a physical copy though, because otherwise I'm going to lose money trying to ship these things. It'll be, if they're included with a book and a Gemini, it's easy. I'll bubble wrap them. It'll be good to go. But anybody that buys digital, unfortunately won't get one. But yeah, these, they're really neat. They're just trying to create some little fun ways to create create interest and swag and stuff. And again, we're doing the t-shirts and the stickers with Awful Thoughts. And the lanyard seemed like a fun and kind of creative approach, you know.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Okay, so we got looks like we've got one more question here for you.
Sure.
So this comes from Mr. Collector 123 also. He says, I know some writers and artists keep paper and a pen on them so it's easier to write and draw ideas that pop inside their head. Do you do the same thing?
You know, I really don't. I have, again, I don't know if you heard or not earlier, but I come from a music background. My dad was a musician, and then I got into rapping and doing hip hop music, and I did it on a pretty successful level for a while out here. And I really got into kind of learning how to write like poetically, like poetry and kind of wordplay and put all that stuff together. And when you're doing music and stuff and you're kind of flowing, like those ideas will kind of just come and go all the time. So I guess my point is that there's just ideas that are just flooding in here all the time and then out here. And I take vitamins to help keep some of it in there with my memory, but sometimes I lose them. But then other times I'll get something and then I'll just kind of stick with it. And I should keep a pen and a pad, but again, I'm trying to stay more grounded into just one little world right now. I think a big problem that I had last year was not necessarily a problem, but I expanded too much too quick. And it was cool because I got a chance to see what I really enjoyed doing and what I was good at and what I needed to work on so that I could be in the position I'm in now. Um, uh, my point is though, so right now I'm just kind of trying to keep my mind focused on these three projects. When I'm always kind of trying to create and encouraging other people to create any capacity though. So there's always ideas in my head, and I'm going to continue to look for other artists that have their own ideas, and maybe we can network and we can put kicks without having to pay them up front. We can form like a partnership, and maybe I can kind of start to branch out later on, like in the summer in that regard. But I have some other sci-fi stuff and that I want to kind of get going, and definitely some more horror. But yeah, you know, the creative process is just it's everlasting. You know what I mean? It's always there. And if one idea falls out, it'll pop in. Kind of like there's an old Married with Children episode where Kelly Bundy is trying to remember all these trivia questions, and Al Bundy is pumping all this stuff into her head, and she can only retain so much. And after he finally starts getting so much in there that she starts losing stuff. And of course, at the very end, the last question for her to win all the money is who scored 4 touchdowns in a Polk High football game. And you know, her dad, she can't remember it. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes. Like, you know, I'm on tilt, you know, but nevertheless though, yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. And especially when you get a really good idea, you kind of want to hold on to it. And and so it's important to make sure you know, maybe I should keep a pen and a pad.
Well, hey, listen, Jeofrey, thanks so much for being with us tonight. This has been a really fun and enjoyable and very informative episode, and I've enjoyed getting inside, getting in touch of your creative process, getting to hear about that, getting to hear about the different projects you've got coming out, and just kind of where things are. So for those who are wondering, where can they get a copy of some of these? What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to share screen the website, like Jeofrey's official website, and that's going to be a good place to start. And then I'm also going to share his social media info so that you guys can follow him there. So there is you can see it's
Keyngdom Comics. For that one, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Carlos. Just want real quick if you go there right now, there's not going to be anything available to order yet, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting pre-orders that I couldn't take care of, since I was delayed on a couple of projects. So I put everything on hold, on ice, for the website. It's still accessible, and you can still contact me through there. Eventually, as these projects are funded and printed, I will have physical inventory. So you will be able to purchase books from here, starting with Roseville. And you can continue to check that, but it's not quite it's still very much under construction, is what I mean. So
Yeah.
it's a great resource. It's a great way to get a hold of me. But again, just bear that in mind, that it's not, you can't quite get anything out that I've got from behind. The only
Yeah.
thing I'm going to probably be selling moving forward will be Roseville. And then we'll get to Awful Thoughts, and then we'll get to End of Man.
So
All
also, I want to share with you guys this this as well. This is Jeofrey's Instagram, and you can see it here. It's Keyngdom Comics. It's just at Keyngdom Comics.
Mhm.
And if you guys make sure and go over there to Instagram, follow him right now while you're thinking about it. Just swipe over, follow him on Instagram, and then this is also a great way to get in touch with Jeofrey about different projects that he's got going on. And also, Instagram's how I keep up with a lot of different creators and see the stuff that they've got going on. And it does have a link to his website. So if you say what was his website and you're trying to remember that, there's this is another easy way to keep up with it. And I'm sure Jeofrey will be posting when he's got updates on the availability and the different projects. I see Mr. Collector just followed you,
Sweet.
and I'm sure others
Thanks,
will
man.
as well.
Yeah, it's nice to meet all you guys, and thanks for all the questions. And again, anybody that was here that sees this later on that has any creating related questions, writing related questions, or comic stuff in general, primarily about this. But again, for those of you who don't know, I also clean and press with some. I submit them. I have a lot of experience in a short amount of time with dealing with a variety of comic related things. So if anybody has any questions about any of that sort of stuff, but especially the creating side, because I know it entails a lot, Kickstarters, questions, promotions, where to find artists, where to find writers. But nevertheless, if you have any kind of questions about that stuff, feel free to ask me and find me on social media. You can message me. I try to be as sociable and personable as possible. And I'm getting a little busier and I get a little backed up sometimes, but usually I can get right back to you. No problem. So.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Well, let's see. There you go. Let's see.
Yeah, but yeah,
Bad Star says, thanks. Love your work and look forward to your projects yet to come.
Thanks, Bad
Very
Star.
cool. Oh, and L Green is also followed you. All right, guys. So hey, go ahead, Jeofrey.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So hey, thanks to all of you guys who've hung out, all you guys and gals who have hung out with us and watched the episode tonight. Make sure and drop a comment after this is wrapped. Make sure and like this video as well, and let me know. Hit me up on Instagram or via email. Let me know what you thought of the creator interview. Let me know if you think there's additional questions we should ask, additional stuff that you have that you'd like to see done on these types of things. I did share, I think, that I'm going to be. I shared earlier this week that I was going to take a second to reveal and share who next month's creator interview is going to be with. Let me see if I've got that pulled up here somewhere.
Need a drum roll?
We're not going to be able to do a drum roll just yet because it's not here. Wait. Oh, wait, no, I think I know what I did with it. Let me add this here real quick. Let me go to the right. I knew I put it somewhere. Let's see, where is it? Wait, no, it's not that one. All right, so hey, thank y'all thank y'all so much for being here tonight and for being a part of this. This was a really cool episode to get to do. So here it is. This is going to be February's creator interview. This will be this will be going live. It'll be live streamed on, I think it's February the 24th. Let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, it's going to be Friday, February the 24th at 11 a.m. Central. And I'm going to be interviewing February's guy. This is David Pepose. David is the current writer for Savage Avengers for Marvel. He has also got some creator-owned titles called The OZ, Going to the Chapel, Spencer and Locke, and one of my favorites, Scout's Honor. Scout's Honor was actually the one that put David on my radar, and I was pleasantly surprised when I'd reached out to him and said, "Hey, is this something you might want to do?" And he said, "Yeah." He said let's set it up. Let's get it done. And I was super excited that he agreed to come on. So for February, we are going to be I'm going to be interviewing David, and he's going to be talking about some of his different projects that he's got going on. I'm trying to find his. I had his bio here that I was going to share with y'all real quick. Let me find it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so a former crime and politics reporter, David Pepose is the Ringo Award-winning writer of Savage Adventures, Spencer and Locke, Going to the Chapel, Scout's Honor, and more. Beyond developing properties for comics, TV, and film, David has also worked for CBS, Netflix, Universal Studios, and DC Entertainment. A St. Louis native, Pepose currently lives in Los Angeles with his understanding partner, their rambunctious terrier, and at least 6 deadlines. So I'm excited and looking forward to David being with us next month. It'll be again on February the 24th. And we'll be doing that during the day. That'll be at 11 a.m. Central. And of course, if you follow me on Instagram or here on the channel, you will see it go live. I'll be setting that show up within the next week or so. So make sure that you guys are here to tune in for that. And each month we are doing one of these, and I've already been in contact with quite a few more. So I'm looking forward to a lot of other people, but I want to extend a big thank you to Jeofrey for coming on here and for just sharing with us and spending the time, just kind of giving us a peek into some of these amazing projects that he's got coming up. So I'll make sure and get in touch with him, follow him on Instagram, check out his website, and make sure you get on his email list and also get in contact with him so that you can be kept up to date on these great projects coming up. Thank you all for being here tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and roll with. Let's do we're just going to do this. We're going to do this outro because this is the only one I've got here plugged in right now. So y'all take care, have a great night, and we will see you next
later, guys.
For the net. Yeah, here, Jeofrey, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, guys. Thanks again. I really appreciate it, Carlos.
Awesome. I appreciate it too. Yeah. All right, y'all, catch us next month for the next interview, for the next creator interview, and we'll see you then.